Egypt, God gave us three gifts. First of all, He gave us the manna from heaven. Then He gave us the water of Miriam. And because of Aaron, He gave us the clouds of glory, non-covered. And the non-covered is the Sukkot, actually. So there's a big shine in the Gemara if the Sukkah in the desert was mamish a Sukkah, or it was just clouds. Like every Jewish family had a little cloud surrounding them, and like a real shelter was a cloud. What's happened? I'm sorry. So why do we celebrate only the Sukkah? Why did we celebrate the manna also? You know, Sukkot, we're thanking God that He gave us shelter in the desert. If you say it was just clouds of glory or it was mamish made out of wood. But, so one of the answers for all the rabbis, the saddest thing is about the manna, we were complaining all the time, remember? We didn't like the manna, we didn't like this, we didn't like this. About water, we were always complaining. The only thing we never complained about was the Sukkot. So, you know what it is? There are a lot of people, God gives them so many gifts, right? But when you keep on complaining, it loses already the joy of getting it, you know, like, imagine you give somebody a gift, say, you bought me this, I was hoping you give me something else. Then you say, Gewalt, you know, who needs the whole thing, right? But anyway, I want you to know, Sukkah is one yontiv where we celebrate, besides the holiness of having a shelter in the desert, we celebrate that we never complain. It's already like, and here comes the deepest depth. Why do people complain all the time? Like most of us said, you know? The more mistakes we are making, instead of being angry at myself, I sit and complain, right? Imagine, God forbid, let's say yesterday I did something wrong, let's say, God forbid, right? And this morning, Naomi or Sheila or Tzvi give me a bagel. I look at the bagel. Everybody knows I want an onion bagel. You know what's going on here. What do you want, right? But because my heart is so heavy from yesterday because I'm angry at myself that I did something wrong, that I'm just looking desperately to fight with somebody. But instead of fighting with myself, I'd rather fight somebody else. And it's so good to know, you know, people who really are to cleanse themselves from mistakes, they don't fight. It's not worth it. I'm sorry, they don't fight. You know what? Because let's assume, would you give up $1 million for this fight now? Have you ever seen, I was once in the butcher shop, never again, kosher butcher shop. Have you ever seen those women, the way they fight over chopped liver? If it's a pound, I think it's one little bit less. They gave him too much, gave him too little. And bones, those bones are not good for soup. I said, I'm getting crazy. Within 5 minutes, they're fighting over the most stupid thing in the world, right? So how much is those bones from the chicken worth? Another $1, right? But what they are losing inside, their whole dignity, their whole soul, right? So you see what it is. Aaron HaKohen, Anana Kovet. You know what Aaron HaKohen did? What's the cloud of glory in the deepest way? Aaron HaKohen gave us a sense of being mamash a prince, of being a king, being a queen. You know how, God forbid, you know, have you ever seen two homeless people fight over a garbage pail? Never, right? Never, Gewalt. Can you imagine, I'm sorry. Can you imagine how little they think of themselves, how low they are? They can stand and fight over a garbage pail because maybe there's some food there, right? Never, so on Sukkot, Aaron HaKohen gives us back our deepest dignity, right? Anana Kovet, mamash, the clouds of glory. Actually, glory is not such a good word. Kovet means mamash Kovet, honor. Let's put it this way. We were learning it last week about Yom Kippur, and I want to chew over the old stuff. But on Yom Kippur, it's clear to me how important I am to God. Gewaltig am I important to God. Right? Because you have to realize, whatever we do here, the same thing happens in heaven, right? We celebrate that God forgive us, right? God also celebrates, because all holiness of Yom Kippur is because in heaven it's also a Yom Tov, right? That means the Yom Tov is that God feels our Gewalt, because when you're angry with each other, you're not so close. So after Yom Kippur, humanly speaking, God is celebrating that I'm close again to the Yidden. You mean the master of the world is celebrating that he's close to me, piece of garbage, piece of nothing? So obviously I'm something, right? So on Yom Kippur, it suddenly becomes clear to us who we are. You see, Reb Aaron says the greatest sin in the world is when you forget who you are. That is the greatest sin in the world, right? Because if you don't know who you are, right, nothing, right? I can walk on all four and think I'm a dog. So, I want you to know, suddenly, hey, my whole outlook on life changes. And we'll come to it in a second. What am I putting on top of me? I would say put gold, put silver. I put on top of me everything I was stepping on all year long. What's schach? Broken, what do you call it, branches, right? Because I cannot put on the schach a branch which is still connected to the tree. It has to be disconnected, right? Unbelievable, right? I would say Circus, when I celebrate how connected I am to God, the most beautiful thing is I'm putting myself under a tree, it's connected to the earth, you know. By the way, all those people with the earth, Mother Earth, you know. No, it has to be disconnected. It has to be broken. It has to be disconnected. And I'm putting it on top of me, right? Suddenly this is my connection to Heaven. And I realized, first of all the things I was stepping on all year, maybe they were the most important things in my life. It's awesome, right? You know, on a personal level, you never know who your best friend is, right? You never know who your best friend is. And it's usually the people who you step on who are your best friends. Like, it's not to be believed, right? It was so crazy, you know. I cannot take you because I don't know any of your personal life. A few years ago, I was like a little bit sick. I needed a pacemaker. Today I wouldn't do it, but then I thought I'd do it. But anyway, everybody called me, I'm good to this homeopath and this homeopath. I said, no, I don't have time. But anyway, I'm lying in the hospital, right? Okay, a lot of people visited me. But you know what was so heartbreakingly true? That all the people who I didn't think are my friends, right? If they would call me, I would say, you know, thank you so much, I'm busy right now or something. They came day and night to take care of me. Unbelievable, right? You mamish don't know who your best friend is. And on Sukkot, remember we were learning it 2 weeks ago, that Truah, you know, the three tones of the shofar. One is here, just one straight tone, right? Then comes Truah, a little bit broken. Then comes completely broken. And then Tekiah again, right? And the word for Truah, the completely broken tone, is also, Truah's Melech Boy is also a word for friendship. Troy, right? Be a super top Hebrew, right? That means, when do you know who your best friend is? When you're completely broken. Let's put it this way. I'm a millionaire and I'm making a bar mitzvah for my son. I'm writing. Oh, good. Yeah, it's mamash. I didn't want to say anything, but normally you have clear prophecy. Normally you're the cutest besides being a prophet. So here, friends. So the Gemara says on Sukkot, in the Torah, when we talk about the Sukkah, we always talk about one Sukkah. You know, usually, I mean, we have a few million Jews since Mount Sinai, so I should say in plural, sit in the Sukkahs. It says per Sukkahs, one Sukkah. Unbelievable. And you see, when we build a Sukkah, it's not another Sukkah. Everyone is building the Sukkah in which God took us out of Egypt, right? Because according to our holy tradition, we were all in Egypt, right? We were all there. You know, the word Yisrael, Israel, is the initial, hey, Shabbos, whatever it is. Listen, you know what you have to do? Can you move a little bit further? Because you're blocking me off a little bit. You don't mind, brother? You promised him, I think. You know what? I think we should knock off one fast melody to warm our hearts.
Shlomo, did you just say that we were all in one sukkah, more in one sukkah?
Yeah, okay, Machshili. The Torah says Sukkot without the wolf, meaning the Sukkahs. Yeah. You know, the translation is in Sukkot in plural, but never, what do they know, right? Okay, let me just finish what I said, you're right. You know, the word Yisrael, Israel, listen, brother, as much as you have to move away also a little bit. Yisrael is the initial, if you know Hebrew, Yesh Shishim Riboim Oitzis Torah. The Torah has 600,000 letters, not unbelievable? And 600,000 Jews walked out of Egypt. But the truth is, 3 million walked out of Egypt. But the 600,000 are root souls, right? You know, a lot of people have the same soul, sparks of each other's soul, right? So those 600,000 are like torches, and then one torch might have, 5,000 little sparks, right? Tell you something awesome. Yerushalmi says, when you marry somebody who is not of the same letter in the Torah, then it won't last. If you marry someone whose letter next to your letter, right, a little bit close, so it looks good, but then peters out again. Unbelievable, right? So you see what it is. The 600,000 souls who left were like, you out, right? Okay, so we had 600,000 sukkahs in the desert. You see how to figure it out. But when I'm building the sukkah, I'm not sitting in a new sukkah. I'm sitting in the sukkah where I was sitting for 40 years in the desert. Right? Unbelievable. What was the most special thing in the sukkah in the desert? You have to realize that, you see, even if the Torah says sometimes that they were complaining, it's very clear in Ishbitzer, it was not just beyond us, right, because it was so high, right? Anyway, there was so much, we just came back from Mount Sinai. In Mount Sinai, between Mount Sinai and Mashiach is coming, there'll never be so much love between people, right? Where's most hatred coming from? From jealousy, right? You have a better house than me, you make more money. In the desert, we had no business, right? They didn't have to pay taxes. You didn't have to go to the drugstore to get yourself shampoo. Do you know whenever a Jew wanted to take a bath, you know what happened? Simply a cloud came down from heaven, went over you, and washed you clean. And also, do you know that our garments grew with us? It's awesome, right? I mean, everything, all the comfort we had in the desert. And it says even, like when kids wanted new toys, they would just put their hands in the clouds of glory, take out the toy they want. I mean, so maybe to us it sounds ridiculous, but it's, I mean, we were just, everything was a miracle, right? Living in the desert and everything. So in the Sukkah, when we sit in the Sukkah, it's mamish, it's the one house. Good morning, Libby. Libby, come on. It's the one house where it's so much filled with love that the esrog, the Lulu, there's the 4 species, the 4 kinds of Jews, and mamish sitting there. And just, okay, we'll come to it in a second. Let me just sing one thing. And I think I shared it with you. On the Moshav, one Shabbos morning, someone calls me out from the davening, and that there's a lady outside who wants to talk to me. I go out and I say, "Good Shabbos, how are you? I saw you last night." She seems to be here for the whole Shabbos. You know, in former good days, sadly enough now we're really overfilled. In former good days we had 3 houses for guests on the Moshav. Anyway, looking for a rich man to build a hotel. Anyway, so I said, "Oh, I saw you yesterday." She says, "Yes, let me tell you my story fast." She says, "I'm upper class American, Jewish princess." You know what that means? That means my husband and I never go on a vacation together. You know, that we always, he goes to India, I'm going to Alaska. He goes to China, I'm going to Japan. Hey, brother, what's happening, brother?
Okay, I just want to get to the back.
Okay, do your thing, brother. This year I decided I'm going to Israel, and he's going to Acapulco. Can you imagine how much love there is between them? Go out. So I'm coming to Israel, and I'm a wealthy woman. I'm checking into King David and get myself like a balagola. I'm getting myself a taxi, hire him for 2 weeks, and he's driving me around Israel. I don't even know one person in Israel. Not even one person. Nobody talks to me, and I don't talk to anybody. My taxi is driving me around. It's very beautiful. This morning, Friday, wherever we were, I said to the taxi driver, "You know, it's kind of sad. I'm here in Israel, and it's Shabbos. I don't keep Shabbos in America, but I'm in Israel. I wish someone would invite me for Shabbos. You know, it would be beautiful." So the taxi driver says to me, "There's only one place where everyone is invited. This is in Modin, in my village. You don't have to make a reservation. You just come there, and everybody will throw themselves at you to invite you." Get a little bit frightened, but anyway. So the taxi driver comes. Anybody, 3 members of Moshav, you weren't there yet?
No, not yet.
But some of you were there. Sheila was there, right? No.
Yeah,
Oh, it's just a Che. Well, Che is an old member of the tribe. Anyway, so you were there, Stephen? Oh, good. So you remember the long street, one street and another street. He lets me off in front of a house and leaves me. Standing there with my suitcase, don't know what to do. Before long, the door opens and people come and say, "Are you hungry? Are you thirsty?" And the kissing, you know. Everybody's kissing me, people that don't know their names, they don't know my name. And then the most disgusting thing happens to me. Men with beards, I can't stand beards. Men with beards come out and kiss me, you know. I went to the bathroom and washed my face, but it doesn't look nice. Anyway, and all this, you know, too much. Anyway, they feed me, and who knows what they do to me. Everybody asks me, "Do you need some more? You want this? You want coffee? You want hot chocolate? You want nothing? You want..." Hey, what's going on here? And then we go to Shul to daven. In my temple, if I go, it's 35 minutes. The rabbi calls out the page, and everybody is very quiet and behaved. There, the dancing, everybody's getting wild like crazy. I've never seen anything like it, unless in a movie about the Indians or anywhere, the Aboriginals. And the more I stay there, the more I realize it's not for me. That's what she tells me. Then comes the feast. This is really not for me. Everybody is taking care of me. Everybody asks me if I want more, if I want less. I said, this is crazy. I'm not going to last here for 24 hours. While everybody's in the dining room, I run out to the house where I'm staying, get my suitcase, and I run out on the highway. The moshav is right by the highway. Get a cab, I go back to the King David Hotel. Thank God. Okay, I'm walking into my room, and I lock the door, and I sit down. And I'm supposed to be happy, right? And suddenly I realize, this is crazy. My whole life, I'm dreaming of a place where people love you not because they know how much money you have in the bank. Where people accept you just because you're a human being. And I was there and I ran away. So she said, you know what they did? I went back, took my suitcase again, went back. The taxi was still there. You know, it's only 20 minutes from Jerusalem. I came back, sat down in the dining room, and nobody even knew that I had left. So she says, I don't know what it is, but next year, I don't care, I'm bringing my husband here. And you know, there's a kind of couple, I'm sure they haven't held hands even before their wedding, you know. They should not, after the wedding. And she says, I have also 2 children, and I'm really not close to them. To make it very short, next year she came with her husband, and with those 2 kids. And we could mamash see them. Brother, where are you taking all this?
It's just this that she said she needs upstairs. I won't bother you no more.
How many things are you taking upstairs?
There's 4 back there, Shlomo. I think it's, wait a minute, 1, 2, 3. 3 back there, she said she wants 4 upstairs.
4 upstairs?
No, she puts it, they put it out from the window and they throw it on top.
You can put it, okay.
They'll come down like manna.
Oh, they have already those...
Yeah, they have it up for you.
I gave up mingling in, you know. Drum because we have mamish. We have to learn. If someone were to ask you, I'm thinking on it. If someone were to ask you, what's the difference in essence between Sukkot and Pesach? And the answer is very simple. Pesach, we are running away from evil. We're running away from Egypt. We're running away from slavery. We're running away from chobans. Right? Sukkot is we enter holiness. Gewalt, right? Sukkot, we're already inside. And you know, from running away from evil until you really enter the gates of holiness takes a long time, right? And we made so many mistakes on the way, the golden calf, and everything went, whatever it is. See, Sukkot and all something else, you see? Pesach, I eat matzah and it's getting into me, in my kishkas. Sukkot, I'm completely surrounded by it. I'm completely surrounded by it. You know, a lot of people, you see what it is? What's an assimilated Jew? He has also a little bit Yiddishkeit inside, right? But he's not surrounded by it, right? And Emissary Yid is not surrounded by it, right? So Sukkot is the final, right? This is it, right? And where was I? Did I stop in the middle? No.
There's a Schopenhauer also here.
Oh, good.
This one, stop again.
Would you believe me? It opened Mamish by Sukkot.
Yes.
Yes, we would.
Yes.
You know, in Sons, I told you, when he would open a book when he was looking for something, and it would not open on the same place where he was looking for, he would fast on that day. Means something wrong with him. Unbelievable. The Holy Sons, when he needed the book, he would go to the, he would walk into take out the book. And if it was not the book he was looking for, he would also fast. So basically we are so surrounded by God and by holiness that why should I waste my time looking for a book, right?
I should tell you a one-sentence joke.
Yeah, let's see. Let's make it two
I
sentences.
just read in the Hasidic Sefer that one of the rabbis, I forget, which said that in the future, the rabbis will be on such a level that they'll decide kasher and treif from looking...
Paul says the Sukkah has the holiness of the Beis HaMikdash. Mamish, the Sukkah has the holiness of the Beis HaMikdash, of the Holy Temple. And meaning to say, when they go into the Sukkah, and Mamish in Yerushalayim, and I'm already in the third temple, the third temple which is indestructible. But you know, as much as the Sukkah has to be on, I'm sure you're aware the Sukkah has to be a temporary dwelling. Cannot be, I build a beautiful house into the Sukkah. It has to be that the wind can carry it away, the wind is strong. And it has to be that it can rain in. It has to be built in such a way that the rain can come in. It almost says two things. It has to be in such a way that the rain can come in, but also that I can see the stars. You know what it is in most of our houses? You can't see the stars, you can't see the sky anymore. I want you to know something awesome, which is so beautiful. Reb Nachman was standing on the window, and he sees a switch Yidele running to the marketplace. He calls him over and says, "Hey Moshe, come." He says, "Rebbe, I really don't have time. I have to go to my business." He says, "It's okay, just 1 second." Comes in. Reb Nachman says, "Have you looked at the sky today?" He says, "What a stupid question, I mean, he didn't say it, but..." He says, "Why are you asking, Rebbe?" He said, "Listen to me. You're running to the marketplace. Do you know that 100 years from now, will be different horses, different wagons, different people, but the sky will still be the same? Why don't you look at the sky sometimes? You know the difference between a cow and a human being? A cow always looks down. Human being always looks up. I want you to know the Sukkah is very, very special. The Sukkah, you have to look at the schach all the time, as much as you can. I remember when I was in Bobov, the Bobov Rebbe Mamash sits the whole time, doesn't take his eyes off from the schach. You know, the schach is, how do you call it in good English, schach?
The branches.
The branches up there. Okay, so I want to tell you something. You know, the Sukkah is very holy. I think it's a little bit coarse, but it's awesome. the Ropshitzer, one of the Rebbes, was traveling, stopped at an inn, and then, they have this outhouse, because they don't have a bathroom inside. He goes to the outhouse, and he couldn't do it. Thought maybe he's sick or something. No. He goes back, and he says to the innkeeper, what's this outhouse all about? What is it? He says, I'll tell you the truth, it was my Sukkah last year. And I decided to make an outhouse from it. Obviously, he says, I can't do my thing there because it's a holy place, right? But anyway, I want you to know the Sukkah is, meaning to say, even after Sukkot, is a very holy place. And you know what the essence of the Sukkah is? That I can go out on the street and make the street holy. Where are all my mistakes from? My mistakes come because I really think the street is stronger than me, right? Let's face it, I'm little Yidele, I have a yarmulke, I have tzitzis, and he has a big world stronger than me. What do you think the world is stronger? I can walk on the 42nd Street and build a little sukkah, gewalt. This is the holy temple here. I can sanctify any place in the world, right? And you see on Sukkot, we'll come to it in a second, it's mamish utmost realizing how important I am to God, how important am I to people, and how much power I have. But not in order to be, God forbid, arrogant. But just, listen to me, you'll tell me, can you lift up this bagel here? I say, no, I don't think so, I say, listen, I'm very humble. I don't really think I have the strength to lift up the bagel. What will you say? Don't be stupid, you have the strength, right? The same thing is, we don't know how strong we are, right? We think, this is too much for me, this is too much for me. Why do you think so little of yourself? On Sukkot, what is clear to me, that I'm stronger than the whole world. John the Famous. That I'm stronger than the whole world. And you know what? Listen, if I were to tell you, I walk up to Tzvi and I would say, listen, Tzvi, I decided I'm going to fix the whole nation of the Japanese. Take me to a therapist, right? Not on Sukkot. On Sukkot, we are bringing 70 sacrifices for the world, for the 70 nations. That means basically I have the power to fix the whole world. I have the power to be the whole world. And when Yaakov went on the first exile, the first exile we went, when Yaakov Avinu went with his children to Egypt, 70 people, corresponding to the 70 nations of the world. To let us know that before you go into exile, you shouldn't drown there. You have to know that one Jew can fix a whole nation. If you would be on the level, right? Not if I'm a schlepper Jew and I'm afraid of the world. Right? Awesome, right? Okay, let's start. Okay, he says it's a mitzvah to build the sukkah right after Yom Kippur. And even if it's Friday, it's a gewalt, like this year, because it says mitzvah shabol yola tach mitzvah. Now listen to me. Why am I not rushing to do something good? Because I don't realize how important it is what I'm doing. Does God really care if I build the sukkah on Friday or on Sunday? That's right. I only go there Monday night, right? So I'll do a little bit later. Imagine I would get a call from Brother Clinton. Washington is anxiously waiting, you're building up the sukkah. United States is waiting, right? So what's the United States waiting? Heaven is waiting, right? So I'm rushing. Right after sukkah, I don't know if, I'm sure you know it, maybe we didn't learn it yet. Mamish, all the big rabbis, maybe they ate a little bit after Yom Kippur, maybe not, but they ran out, Mamish, Well, all the rabbis would at least put one nail in the sukkah, you know, do something. And he says, even if you think you're a very honorable person and you think it's below you, it's not. But then everybody knows it's such a big mitzvah to build a sukkah. Mons is free. Why don't we make Shechionu? The whole Gemara on it. And the answer is because Sukkah's night, when we sit in the sukkah, we make Shechionu, and that Shechionu covers already also the building of the sukkah. I don't know how your house looks like. I'm sure it looks clean. The sukkah has to be so clean and so beautiful, because it mamish is the holy temple. And I'm sure you do know that all the big Yidden would mamish put everything, all the gold and silver, whatever they had, everything they would put in the sukkah. And you know, sukkah, we have noise sukkah. We want to make the sukkah as beautiful as possible. Okay, the truth is, which is basically according to the Gemara, you only need 2 walls, and the third wall, just a little bit. You know what it is like? We always think we don't have enough. Not true. Even if a wall and a half is missing, right? I'm still okay, right? But basically today, we are really making 4 walls. But you have to know that it's okay, you see, if I would learn now the laws of the schach, would take too long because it's so intricate. I want you to know, Masechta Sukkah, the laws of Sukkah, the deepest is not the word. I mean, they are like the depths and about the walls, you know, how much the walls have to be connected to the schach. Imagine you build a sukkah, and then the schach is only not really reaching the walls. How far can the schach be removed from the walls? There's hundreds of laws. But right now, by us, we build these 4 walls, and we make sure that the schach reaches the 4 walls. Basically, you are not permitted to make the schach from something which is not broken. You are not permitted to make the schach from something which is not broken. Because that's the whole idea. All the things I was stepping on, and all the things I thought they are broken and they're not connected, I realized that they are the ones who connect me to heaven. Deepest connection. And also it's very important, in the sukkah, the shade, you say shade or shadow? Shade. The shade has to be more than the sun. You know, I'm sorry, what?
Sunlight.
Sunlight, yeah. What do you want to say, Naomi?
I remember last year you said something really beautiful about the schachas, that they used to, you know, a lot of people when they feel broken feel there's no place for them. And they're really, you know, what can they do? They're just broken, they can't contribute anything. He says, and that's why when we have schach, we absolutely choose the broken ones. Because what we're doing is really elevating it and saying, yes, you can. In fact, you can have the most important part of the sukkah. And you part something really, really important. And don't think just because you're broken, you have nothing to contribute. That's the last year.
Naomi is the best. I think you should take over the whole class. Naomi remembers better than I do. Do me a favor, when you remember anything else, please always stop me. Because you're the best. How come you remember, yeah?
You know how few Rebbe's there are in the world that have followers of Siddim that remember the Torah that the Rebbe says over?
I know.
A year later.
A year later.
I remember I asked this one rabbi, what are you talking about? He says, you always say the same thing because nobody remembers anyway. Yeah?
During what time of year did Jacob go to Egypt?
I'm sorry, man?
You said Yaakov went to Egypt with 70 people, but what time of year did he go?
Hey, only Marine could ask such a deep question.
The reason I ask is because, you said 70 people, but when I was living in Egypt, there's a place south of Gaza called El Harish. El Harish in Arabic means a sukkah, but it also is a sukkah with light in it.
Do you know that Goshen, I don't know how it's called now, is Goshen still called Goshen?
No.
Pharaoh, when Sarah left, he gave her, like real estate, he gave her like one of the suburbs of Cairo. And it belonged to Sarah. So when Yaakov came with his family, they just went back to the place that belongs to Sarah. See, that means the Jews basically, they didn't need Egyptian to give them permission to live there. They moved in to what belonged to Sarah. Yeah. So anyway, I want you to know that according to a holy tradition, Yaakov Avinu left the world on Sukkot.
Wow.
Yeah, because we will come to it later. Yaakov's, Avraham Avinu, his holiday is Pesach, because Avraham Avinu is the first one to get out from the pagan world. First exodus out of slavery of Egypt, of all evil in the world is Avraham. Shavuos is Yitzchak, because unless you're ready to die for God, you don't live for God. So Torah is mamish. You have to be ready to give your life to God 1,000 times. So this is Shavuos. God bless him. God gave us the Torah. Sukkot is Yaakov, because it says when Yaakov Avinu left Lulu, it says the Yaakov knows the Sukkot. Remember, and Vayishlach Yaakov Avinu. Do you know what Sukkah is? That Sukkah is like wherever I am, that's where it's holy. Yaakov Avinu is the one who left Israel when he came back. So obviously it looks like around Sukkot's time. So it means, let me just finish. It's Yaakov Avinu, when he traveled beyond time and space, right? Even the Baal Shem Tov, right? So he didn't have to schlep himself for so long. After Yom Kippur, he left Eretz Yisrael, and he arrived in Egypt. Although I'm sure if he would have traveled ordinary, it almost have taken weeks. Who knows? Yeah. Avraham Avinu, when he left Choron to go to Israel, also he traveled from the Kvitzis Aderech, It says he left Choron and he was already in Israel. They left and they came. Obviously they left, they came. There's no Kudus are. They came right away. Right? But anyway, so why do you ask just like this?
Because this place, El Arish, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's south of Gaza. It's a big place on the coastline. It used to be part of Israel, and it's called Jacob's Hut.
Could be.
El Arish in Arabic means the hut with light that comes through it, but it's attributed to Jacob's hut. So maybe he made a sukkah there.
I was in Cairo in 1982. And when I called up my kids, so I said, Neshama, I'm in Cairo. Neshama got all frightened and said, is Pharaoh still alive? I said, no. That's true, no? Anyway. Yeah?
Didn't Reb Nachman also die the same day as Sukkot?
Third day.
Third day?
Fourth day.
And the Holy Hunchback died the second day of Sukkot.
Yeah. Wow. A lot of rabbis. Okay, you're not permitted to build a sukkah. It has to be. You're leaving already. You have to. Okay, have the best sukkahs in the world. Thank you for coming.
I'm leaving too. I'm so sorry, but I'll come back next week.
Okay, good.
Thank you. I'll come for Sukkot.
Okay, good. the sukkah has to be built under the sky. Cannot be built under a house, not under a tree. It has to be directly under the sky.
Shlomo?
Yeah?
I know there's a couple of times I've had to do this, but I asked the shal a couple of times. They said if the tree is like 20 or 30 feet above the sukkah, and there's just some branches, as long as you still get a lot of sun, that for the effort you can...
For the effort, yeah.
The effort is still okay though, yes?
Yeah. You see what it is? If I build it under a tree, but even despite the tree, the sukkah, the way it is under the tree, the sun would be stronger than the shade. And then my schach makes it that the shade is more than it's kosher. That means the tree is not adding to the shade.
Right.
Yeah.
They said, I think the shear they said was about 20 feet or something.
Whatever it is. You know, the shear is exactly if it adds. Yeah. Chanoia Gewalt. Okay, let me ask something. Am I permitted to steal a sukkah? And I say, listen, you know, Mama's God, you know the truth, I need a sukkah. What do you say? Not only am I not permitted to steal, if I sit in a stolen sukkah, I didn't fulfill the mitzvah. Because, you know, without getting involved, it's all thing, there's a thing, it's mitzvah bo bavera. If I do a mitzvah while I'm doing an avera, then it's not, I did the avera and I did the mitzvah. You didn't do the mitzvah at all, because they cannot do a mitzvah. You know, today a lot of people do mitzvahs, they say, yeah, it's not so kosher, but I did the mitzvah. If you do a mitzvah via doing something wrong, then the mitzvah is not considered a mitzvah. Okay, as I was telling you already, the walls of the sukkah, the noise sukkah and everything is mamash holy, so you're not permitted to take it off and use it for something else. I don't want to say anything bad. Last year I saw someone needed a toothpick, so when nobody was looking, he reached up and took something from the noise sukkah, fooling around. You can't. You're not permitted to use it because it's holy, as simple as it is. Okay. Now comes sitting in the sukkah. It's very, very important. Sitting, I don't want to say anything bad about people. It's not that after a shul, while you're in the middle of talking, who knows about what, you walk in with somebody and they offer you a little piece of cake, and you talk about the cake, from which bakery it is, and then you walk out. This is not called sitting in the sukkah. Sitting in the sukkah means you move in. They're doing sukkahs, this is your house. I want you to know something awesome deep. Listen, anybody who travels. And let's say I'm traveling, I'm going to Cairo, and I stay at the Hilton in Cairo. My house is still or New York or in Erzsruhe, right? My house doesn't stop being my house. Same as the sukkah. The 1 week of the sukkah, I have to establish myself. You know? I don't establish yourself on this sukkah anywhere. When you walk into the sukkah, this is my house. And even, let's say, for instance, you don't sleep in the sukkah, it has to be like one night you sleep at the Hilton, right? The Hilton does not take away from your house, right? So, okay, I have to sleep there, right? But the house is very special. A person who established himself, this 1 week, this is my house. This is where I actually live. And you have to be there as much as you can. I must eat there, learn there, sit there, be there. And it's just so good, you know. Okay, here's this Reb Lezer, and the Gemara says that the sukkahs in which we dwelled for 40 years were just really made out of clouds. But because of that, we make real sukkahs. And Rabbi Akiva says, no, it was mamash sukkahs. That's it. So though he says, so Rabbi Akiva says like this, in the summer, when I sit in a hut, it doesn't mean really something special because everybody needs something against the sun. But in the winter, you move into your house. You don't stay in a house, right? So this time of the year, in the summer you live in the bungalow. In the winter you live in the house because it's raining or whatever it is. So when do I really show that I'm sitting in the sukkah because God told me it's right about this time of the year, when it's really getting cold and everything. Are you permitted to bring in anything not so clean to the sukkah now? Like even, when you bring in plates, okay, when you take them out, maybe they're not so clean anymore because you ate on them. But to bring in the sukkah something not washed, you're not permitted to. So everybody knows that all those big Rebbe, especially the Heilige Mamish, the Heilige Triska Magid, before he walked into the sukkah, he was crying. He's master of the world. You're not permitted to bring in vessels which are not clean. Gewalt. How dare I go into the sukkah? Gewalt, master of the world.
Which Magid is that?
The Heilige Triska Magid. Yeah. Gewalt. Holy Bob. Gewalt. We left the head table for you, but.
Thank you. They all say hello to you downtown.
Yeah,
They all know you.
which one did you see?
Well, I forget his name. Oh, I know Shlomo. Say hi to Shlomo. He said his brother-in-law comes to my shop.
Unbelievable. It's very strange, it never says in the Talmud that you have to eat matzah with your wife and your family. Everybody has to eat matzah, so obviously everybody has to eat matzah. In the sukkah, in Mamash says especially, you have to bring your wife and your children to the sukkah. Because you have to be in the house, the sukkah has to be your house. And if in my house I live with my wife and my family, so the sukkah has to be. Yeah, it's very, the Shlomo says especially after you eat, you have to take the vessels out fast. Because you shouldn't leave anything which is not clean in the sukkah. Take them out fast, and then wash them and bring them back, whatever it is. Yeah?
Last year also, I think he said one of the reasons why we have it this time of the year and not in the summer, and what he said is that, in the winter we think, the house protects us. The house is the one that's protecting us. And Mom, when we go in the sukkah in the cold, we know that this could be blown away just like this. We know that Mom is when we sit in sukkah, that's Hashem is protecting us.
Nomi, you're the best. Mamish, Nomi, you better come and sit here then. Nomi, Mamish knows everything, Gewalt. Nomi, you're the cutest woman in the world. Okay, now, this is very important. Basically, imagine if a person does not eat. Let's assume. A person doesn't eat. So he says, I don't have to sit in the sukkah because I don't eat. What can you do? The first night you have to eat in the sukkah. And don't tell me stories, right now I'm on a fast, or right now I'm on a diet, all this crazy stuff. Not on sukkahs. Sukkah's night you have to eat in the sukkah. What happens if it's raining? The Koshka knows you have to be up all night, wait for the rain to stop. And if it's for 1 minute, the rain stops, you go fasting. But if you're for real, why should you wait till the rain stops? Just go into the sukkah and eat. I'll tell you something, anybody who's ever been in the sukkah knows, like, when you sit in the sukkah and even if it's raining, it's so beautiful. I was once, one night Sukkot had to be somewhere, and this person I stayed in his house was very religious but straight. He doesn't know from anything. When it's raining, you don't have to be in the sukkah. I said, listen, I'm sorry, I'm sitting in the sukkah. He tries to talk me out of it, and his wife is also a therapist, and she tries to talk me out and says, because of guilt feelings. That's their favorite topic. It's just not guilt feelings, just I'm going, right? So then they felt guilty, They said, okay, they went with me. It was so good.
Rabbi, I remember last year.
Yeah.
It was last year. So Erev Circus, Mamish was raining. And all the shuls, they finished davening and they were waiting and waiting and waiting. And they figured, it's raining, that's it, they're going to eat in the house.
Yeah.
By the time we finished davening, we went into the sukkah, the rain stopped.
That's right.
And they were coming around looking at, we were sitting in the sukkah and everybody already ate inside the house.
That was fun.
Okay, let's stop this here, won't rain, God forbid. It has to be good.
You told a story.
You
told the story last year also about the rich man who couldn't stand this poor man's sukkah.
That's too long a story, but it's a good story, yeah.
Shlomo, I came across recently a story about the Rebbe Shlomo Zalman and Vladi, that the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, that he was sitting in the sukkah when it was raining. So someone said to him, the rabbi said that if you sit in the sukkah when it's raining, you're a fool or a simpleton. He says, if only I could be a simpleton. If only I could be a simpleton.
He says, I wish I would be God's fool. See, the Kotzk Rebbe makes it more simple. If you sit in the sukkah and the rain disturbs you, then you shouldn't sit there. But if you sit in the sukkah and a few drops, how can it disturb you? It's so beautiful here, right? I said it yesterday. I'm sitting with a girl, supposedly love, right? Then it's raining. I said, listen, I'm sorry, I'm going home, right? So it's not so hot, right? Gewalt. Okay. So first night, right after you come from shul, the mamish goes straight to the sukkah, make kiddush, and here's something very important. The first night you make kiddush, then you make a bracha leishev, and then you make shechiona. Because shechiona goes on leishev also. Second night you make shechiona, and then you make leishev. And it's also very important when you say leishev, even if you stand by the sukkah, you have a special blessing. You say, blessed is God who commanded us. Commanded us is not really the good translation. Sivona means who, in Hebrew, Sivona means who tied us to himself. So that we get so close to God. When someone asks me a favor and I do it, we get close to each other, right? So each time I do a mitzvah, I get close to God. It's Sivona, right? And okay, basically as much as it is a mitzvah just to sit in the sukkah and to sleep and everything, but the bracha I only make when I eat.
What?
When I eat. And also very important,
Never when you learn?
no, said enough, no.
Excuse me, Shlomo, what's the reason for the difference in the order of the brachos between the first night and the second?
See, the first night, it's the first night I'm sitting in the sukkah, right? So shechiona goes on leishev also. So I said first leishev and then make shechiona. But the second night, I was already sitting in the sukkah, right? just make shechion on the yontiv. So.
Well, why do you make it again?
Yeah, why do you make it?
Why do you
Again.
make it?
Because you see what it is. Why do we keep 2 days? Because after the destruction of the temple, we didn't know which the first and which the second day. So we still kept it up. Although now we know, but the Chomer really is deeper than anything. So we make shechionu, but nevertheless, on Leishev we don't make shechionu anymore. Okay, what is called rain? You know, some of the few drops is not called rain. You know what's called rain? Shlomo says rain is if I would sit here with a plate of soup and the rain would mamish make it not soup but water, that's called rain. It's very good to know, you know, just a few drops. Okay, Aggie, come to brother. We have 5 chairs for you.
Forgive me.
Anything, brother. But have a good Sukkah anyway, brother. Okay, now listen to this. I wish we could do it on the Moshav, we can do it. I am making Neship a Sukkah the first night, right? And then Mamish, I stay the whole week in the Sukkah. I daven there, I sleep there, I eat there. So I don't have to make Neship anymore. Because my first Brocha and Sigum the Sukkah covered already the whole week. Only if you left the Sukkah, and I don't mean just going out to see what's going on. It has to, I leave the Sukkah. Let's say if I cannot sleep in the Sukkah, and I go to my house to sleep, then next morning I make Leishev again. What is it if I go from one Sukkah to the other? Each time I go to another Sukkah I have to make Leishev. Because every Sukkah is like a different Sukkah. Okay, I ate I forgot to make the Brocha Leishev, what do? I can make it whenever I remember, in the middle of the feast. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be as soon as you sit down.
You should, but if you didn't, so you do it whenever you remember. You remember anything, Norma, which I didn't cover yet?
You know what's a wonderful story of Reb Shlomo? You know the story of, the two rabbis who go to the Sukkah with the blankets and the hot heat.
Oh, you better tell the story.
No.
That's Rabbi Akiva,
Rabbi
Zusha's story.
Okay, Nomi, by general nomination, you have to tell the story. Tzvi, you want to tell the story to help out? Okay.
You'll have to help me out.
Yeah.
So Reb Zusha is coming to this rabbi.
Reb Yeager.
Reb Yeager, yeah. He's coming to spend time with Reb Yeager in the Sukkah, so definitely he's going to the Sukkah. And as the custom is, even Rabbi Yeager, Rabbi
Yeager, his name is Yaakov Yitzchak Ben Avraham. So we shall Yaakov Yitzchak, Yaakov Yosef Ben Avraham. They called him short Yeager.
Yeager. Yeager.
Yud Bet Aleph, yeah.
Yud Bet Aleph?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yaakov Yosef Ben Avraham.
So, the story, make it short, so they go to sleep in the sukkah. After the feast and everything, they spend together. They go to sleep in the sukkah. It was really, in Europe, was really winter, very cold. So Rabbi Yeager, he secures himself with 7 blankets to cover himself. And Reb Zusha doesn't need any blankets. Reb Zusha goes to sleep on the corner on the floor, and it was very cold. So Reb Zusha was cold. So it turns up to heaven. And Reb Zusha never said,
Can I correct you right now? You don't mind?
No,
because I want you to remember the story forever. So where you are, I'll come back to it. The Heilige Reb Zusha comes to visit the Reb Yeager. So Reb Yeager says to Zusha, "Want you to know I have a bed and 15 blankets, and I also prepared for you a bed with 15 blankets, so you don't have to worry. Everything is under control." So the Reb Zusha says, Zusha does not sleep in a bed in the Sukkah. Zusha wants to sleep on the holy floor, right? Reb Yeager says, "What do you mean on the holy floor? It's cold. You want less." He says, "Zusha will take care of himself." Okay, the Reb Yeager is lying under the 15 blankets and still shivering. And the Heilige Reb Zusha is lying on the floor. And the Reb Yeager is not falling asleep yet. He wants to see how long is this Reb Zusha going to last. Suddenly he hears the Reb Zusha says, "Okay, here you come in."
So it turns out God says, Reb Zusha is cold, freezing. So there's a heat wave, a little heat wave comes in into the circle. It heats up a little bit, but it's very cold. Passes time a little bit, so Reb Zusha again turns up to heaven, and Reb Yeager hears him again. Reb Zusha is still cold. There's coming another heat wave. This time already Reb Yeager feels a little bit hot under the 15 blankets, so he takes off a couple of blankets. And Reb Zusha is continuing like that. So Reb Zusha is still cold. So it comes a heat wave, and he continues like that until Reb Yeager already took off all the blankets, and suddenly he turns to Reb Zusha, "Reb Zusha, stop! You'll put the sukkah on fire!"
Wow. Not so simple. You see, Reb Zusha never said the word "I." When he talked about himself, he would say Zusha. No?
Did you say at the end that Zusha told Reb Yeager something like he was bringing the warmth of, was it from Gan Eden or something, and if he would have let him go...
No. Mama Sheno here, Gewalt. Sri didn't tell what Chassidim said when they heard the story. Chassidim said, "Oh, Reb Zusha, why did you stop? Why did you stop? You could have warmed the whole world, right?" Such a deep story, Sometimes it gets warmer, then they get all shook up and we stop.
What's the difference between saying Reb Zusha is cold or I am?
For him, there's only one I. I am the Lord, right? God. Zusha is talking about someone Zusha, it says Zusha, right?
Like a small child.
Huh?
Like a small child.
Also true. You see, for us, the word I is the most important word in our life. Sadly. I once got a letter from someone, one of the so-called Jewish leaders. Never seen anything like it. It was a long letter. Every sentence began with the word I. It's nishmasik to die. He's in the egg business, I, right? Well, I'm the kid. You know, in German, an egg is called an eye, right? Okay, let's learn a few minutes about Lulav and Essig. And it's really not important that we should learn all the laws, how they have to look like, because you don't buy it on a Chinese marketplace, you buy it in a Jewish bookstore and they will tell you what it is. What is important that mamish, you have to have it. Mamish, you have to. And I want you to know, sometimes during the year there come moments when I want to do something and I say to myself, I don't have the strength. Why didn't you buy Lulu from Asif? If you would have bought it, you would have had the strength. Because it's the strongest soul energy. And it's unbelievable. Esrik is mamish engraved in our hearts. But for the Esrik, for a beautiful Esrik. Okay, now let me tell you just one more thing, which is important. The Esrik has a shape of the heart. The Lulav has the shape of the spine. Hadassah has the shape of an eye. And the Arove has the shape of lips. Okay, by all the rabbis was very strong, God forbid somebody has a bit spine trouble. You better get yourself a good Lulav this year, right? And you know, it's so, well, you know, it's not so simple. You see, for us, the physical and the mental and spiritual are three different worlds. It's not true. It's only one word. There's one God and everything is the same, right? If you have a good Lulav, you fix your spine. You have trouble with your eyes, get kosher Hadassah, right? And whenever you talk, you lie, get yourself a good Arovas, right? You know what it is? We always think we are going to an ophthalmologist and he tells you your eyes are good, you don't need glasses. That's all it takes to look. You can have the best eyes in the world and you have perverted eyes. You don't even know what's going on, right? I could swear that 90% of the children of the world, the parents never seen them. Literally never seen them. I don't want to go so far to say that 95% of married couples, the husband has never seen the wife and the wife has never seen the husband, you know. John, sit down. You know, it takes, John, sit down. You know the way a cow looks at a human being? The cow always sees you, right? But she doesn't know who you are. I can look at a person like a cow, and maybe a cow knows more than we think, right? So but the spine is very important, but even more so the heart. And here I want to tell you something unbelievable. Really, really, I'm begging you. The most important thing by an esrik is to buy an esrik without any blemish. You know the way they rate esrogim? An esrik which has a blemish costs less. An esrik which has mamish, absolutely no blemish, costs more. So then I can go and buy myself an esrik for $10. It's full of blemishes, a little bit white, a little bit green, a little yellow, and I walk around and had an esrik. But it affects your heart, Chas Shalom. I don't want to say anything bad, right? Want you to know something? The Heilige Ramotchil and Werner, he would take before Yom Kippur and he would buy an esrik full of blemishes. Mamish, full of blemishes. And then he would keep it in the little bag for the talis. All Yom Kippur would keep it mamish next to him. and then after Yom Kippur would take out the esrog, had no more blemishes. Mamash Gewalt, right? Awesome, right? Because the esrog is Mamash your heart. And if our heart is not so good yet, it's our biggest chance. I know a lot of people want to save money, and then they go 1 hour before Yom Tov to the east side, and you get very cheap esrogim, because all the good ones are sold, and then you buy a little cute little one. Someone came last year, was bragging, he got an esrog for $5. Why? What good is it? And I want you to know something awesome. It says, "Ulekachtem lochem," and take for yourself an esrog. But you know, every word in the Torah is very special. And if you really translate it, it says, "Ulekachtem," take it, lochem, for your own good. It's good for you, right? I don't take a vitamin pill in order to save somebody else's life. Not my own life. What do you want to say, Leila?
So, not if you're being stingy, but how about if you really can't afford to
Leila Gewalt, I'll tell you what you do. So, buy the best esrog you can get, but then I'm sure in shul there'll be someone who has a Gewalt esrog.
So you should bench with that one?
Yeah. You know, like by all the big Rebbes, you know, in Bobov or even Lubavitch, the Rebbe benches on his esrog, and then everybody wants to bench on the Rebbe's esrog.
Can I ask you something about that? Obviously, the Rebbe's on a different level, but if you lend, let's say, your esrog to somebody who, let's say, mamish, they have a lot of stuff, does it affect you? Because you're saying, on the one hand, this is so personal, this is yours. You know, you give it to somebody who maybe they don't like you, and then they give it back to you, and it's like you don't even realize you're working with something else.
But if you would do a mitzvah to give someone a good esrog, Gemara says, when you do a mitzvah, nothing wrong is happening to it. It is only helping the other person. Wouldn't be fair. I have a good esrog, and I let the creep hold it, you know. Then God pays me off by ruining my esrog. The only thing is, I don't say anything bad. But by most people, really, they were asking, before you bench on my esrog, wash your hands. You know? Wash your hands, because some people come from the street, and it's dirty, and then they're holding the esrog, you know. It's not fair. And also, you know, you have to hold the esrog tight, but don't press in, you know. I remember one time I gave my esrog to somebody, and he meant well. He was holding it like this, and then basically, I always buy 2 good esrogim, because a lot of people ask me, can I bench on your esrog, right? And the way it looks usually after is not so good anymore. So, Chaim l'chaim. What's the story about those 4 species? God could have told me, take an apple, take an orange, take a pear, and a peach. What do you want to say, Noam? Remember what you meant? You promise, or are you just holding back? Swig, you remember what we were learning? You know, everything in the world, humanly speaking, you know, God has, so to speak, you know, it says Hashem monarchies lovish. God's light has garments. Because God's light cannot shine into me the way it is. So it has to be covered, right? That means the way God gives life to the world, the way God gives life to a peach, to an orange, is by so many garments, right? From heaven until it reaches the cute little peachula is a lot of garments. Those 4 species receive life from God without garments. Mama straight from heaven for them. You know what I realized after Yom Kippur? I want to receive life from God directly without garments. I don't want it to be covered all the time. You know, most of the time there are so many covers, so many layers. You know, sometimes you see people, the way they relate to each other is via 2 million covers, right? And sometimes you see people, mamash, talk to each other straight, right? Without covers, right?
Like the blankets in the Sukkah you were saying, he had blankets and he didn't need them.
Yes, give him. What's your first name? What's your name?
Ted.
Ted, yeah. Give out Ted. You got it. Okay, just one more thing. I hope some of you, most of you, maybe if you can come here, it'd be good, because it's a special art how to shokel the lulav. And sad enough, in most shuls, the chazan, they should live long and happy, I would pay them off to go to Bermuda. But, like Mama said, they don't know how to shokel. The mamish don't know. But besides everything else, the first thing is you hold the lulav in your right hand. Because I make the broch over the lulav, because the lulav is the most prominent. And also, if you remember, we're learning it, because basically, Sukkot is a holiday of oneness, right? Oneness with God, oneness between the four species, oneness between everything in the world. And the most oneness is the lulav. Now, the lulav is, how do you say it in good English? How do you say lulav in English?
Palm.
Palm tree. Palm, you know, the leaves, they're so close to each other. Awesome. You can, in fact, they're so close, there's always two together. Have you ever opened a lulav? It's always two leaves. And you remember learning at the esrik, the oneness of, hey, Brother Sammy. The oneness of the esrik is, if you remember, the esrik is the only fruit which hangs on the tree all year, summer and winter. Means, you know, most fruit can only bear summer. Winter, you get frightened. So, it's mamish one, but lulav is the strongest. So I hold the lulav in my right hand, and then, you know, when you shokel the lulav, you have to hold the esrik and the lulav together. So when you make the blessing, but the moment you hold them together, you're ready to fulfill the mitzvah, basically. So what we do, we hold the lulav in the right hand, we hold the esrik, but we're not putting it together yet. So first you say the blessing, and then you hold it together. And then you shokel it a little bit, and then begins, but then there's something very special. The most special thing in the world is nanuim. And in case you're not here for Sukkot, I want you to watch me for 1 second. Do me a favor, give me just your lulav for 1 second. But don't take it out, just let me just give them a tape. Well, okay, imagine I have an esrik here in my hand, and I'm holding it like this, right? Shock a little bit, like the leaves should shock a little bit, right? Okay, now, and this is, according to the great Kabbalists, this is mamish. You see what it is? We get higher, higher, higher. And the high priest, you know, we were learning it, the clouds of glory of the Sukkah is the smoke of the incense in the Holy of Holiest. That means on Yom Kippur, when the high priest would bring an incense in the Holy of Holiest, and the smoke would come out, right? The smoke would come out, and it's the clouds of glory for every Jew who are surrounding me. You see, holy is Have a little holiness inside. Holy of holiest is like I'm completely surrounded by it. Okay, so here I'm holding it. Then I begin on the right side, you know. And without making fun, you know what most people do? Go, and then they go. And then they don't know where to go. They think, oh, let's go maybe.
Shlomo?
What?
Can I make fun for a second?
Yeah.
It's a sad story. I was in a shul a few years ago. I was saying Kaddish, and a rabbi was doing just what you were trying to do. He got up and wanted to teach them how to do Lulu and Esrog. That's really this is what he did. He said, okay, you take it in your hand and you go, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then he says, don't shake it too hard because you may break it. Don't shake it too long because you overdo it. I thought I was watching a Jane Fonda exercise. It was just, I swear to you, I mean, it was such a story for you. And he was standing up there, like 200 people in the room, and he was teaching.
Heartbreaking.
Aerobics.
98% don't know how to shake Lulu. I don't know why. Because obviously it's so high. They're not doing it. Okay. But if you can come here, Sukkot would be good. Okay, so what happened there then?
Shlomo, why do you shake it?
Why do you do it? Because you have to realize, first of all, you wake up your own heart. You're always asleep, right? You know what it means? I'm asleep, that I don't know what I'm doing, right? We're all sleepwalkers. Then also, not only wake up from sleep, wake up the inside. The inside of us is asleep always.
So how does shaking it wake you up?
That's it. A holy rabbi knew. The Torah says when you shake it, mamash wakes something up inside. You see, you have to realize the Torah is 2,000% believed. You know, I cannot prove it to you. See, if you were to ask me, can I prove to you that there's one God? I can't, and I won't. I'm not interested. Because anything I can prove to you that this is Coca-Cola and this is a bagel. But anything which is deeper than that, if it needs proving, it's already not good, right?
Rabbi?
Yeah?
Scuba divers.
Yeah?
In the old times, scuba diving didn't have the radio connection, right? So he went down to the bottom and the ship on top. How do you think they were signaling, you know, that he needs help or he needs something? Used to be a cord attached to him, and all he had to do just shake the cord and up there and
see. Yeah, gewalt. That's the Rebbe Torah, yeah.
I scuba dive and we still do that.
Maybe the Lulu is like an antenna, so it's attracting electrical energy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I'm sure it's true. Not maybe. I'm sure it is. Yeah. You see what it is? Everything holy has 2 million ways of explaining it. You know, like it's an open field. But anyway, so you hold it, okay? Then you go right. Really mamish. You know, the first thing you have to, the right side is love. Mamish, we don't know how to love, we don't know whom to love, we don't know when to love. It's so completely. So this is fixing your right side. And then you have to bring it to your heart. Once you know, I mentioned here that Steffi Nefche took him 7 hours to choke the Lulu. Non-stop.
Who was this?
The son of the original, Heilige Steffi Nefche.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, good. So watch me, I'll make it fast. You do this 3 times. For as long as you want to, as long as you feel you need to fix it. Then comes the left side. Left side is strands and over. Basically, in Chassidus, the right side is consciousness, and the left side is unconsciousness. Go. But you know, don't listen to the rabbi, don't make it too long, make it as long as you can. Then most people don't see what's in front of them. So you go in front, right? And also, I don't know where to go. Moshe, show me the way, right? Show me where to go. Again 3 times. And I'm making it short now. Okay, ready? But then, this is the most awesome. Mamish, to connect myself to above. This is Mamish Gewalt, you know. And don't be ashamed that some people show you like this. Why aren't you lifting it? Why didn't you do it right? Mamish Gewalt. Right here. Always sweet. And then something else. A lot of people are connected to above and have good ideas, but it never comes down to reality. So mamish, in Bob of mamish, he's mamish nearly lying on the floor, right? Mamish down, you know.
When you shuffle down, the Lulu was still pointed up.
Yeah, you try it utmost, yeah.
You
Okay, there's whatever you can do, you know.
You once made a very big point out of saying, be careful that you don't go so far down, because the point is you don't want to lose the connection between.
Yeah, okay, whatever it is. I don't remember what it said, but I'm sure it was good. And then, whatever it was in my head. And then, again, the bag has millions of meanings again. First of all, it's my past, right? I want to lift up my past also, you know. And you know something else? I don't ever want to disconnect myself from someone I met yesterday. My yesterdays. Awesome, right? Today we always think, okay, you know, there is a thing which is a little bit pagan to me. 2 words. Is to surrender. Surrender. It's an emissary pagan word. I don't surrender, I just grow up. Have you ever heard a mother saying to a baby, I don't want you to wear diapers anymore because surrender. I'm older, I don't need it anymore, right? We don't have to surrender anything. You just, hopefully you grow up and you realize that you're not selling yourself for lollipops anymore. This
is the past.
And also something else. So you see, I don't, and then, so say, give up. Let go. There is such a thing as letting go, but then there's something so much deeper. Don't let go on anything, but put it in the right place, right? You know, I don't put, I once saw Jackie Gleason with a Gewalt, he was top, you know. His girlfriend is coming to visit him. He wants to clean up. So, and the kitchen is so dirty and everything, he doesn't know what to do with himself. So he puts the butter under his pillow. And his pajamas he puts in the Frigidaire. And you know, he was a super genius to make people laugh. I mean, it's crazy, right? You have to know butter's in the Frigidaire, pajamas under the pillow. You know what it is? When there are certain things today, you understand it. You have to know exactly where to put it. What's with my past? I have to know where to put it. I don't want to disconnect myself from anything.
Could you show again how you do the back? How do you do the
turn
back?
around. Not completely, maybe. You know, some people go like this.
Yeah.
You cannot turn around. Imagine I'll see you sitting on the street and I go, hey. Okay. In Boba, if your mamish turns around.
That's so you don't get somebody in the eye with the
Mamish, you don't, or at least if you don't turn around 100%, but 70%, you know. Oi. What do you say, Leanna?
Should you be facing a certain way when you start?
I'm sorry, what?
Should you be facing in a certain way when you start?
Mizrach, right? You always start Mizrach. Let's assume you know where it is. Yeah, okay.
Should take a break, maybe.
Want to take a break? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I guess I don't even have to tell you what it's saying. As much as we have to be careful, what we talk about Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur and the Sukkot, you have to be about 2 million times more careful. Because Sukkah is not mistake. You know, you don't walk into the holy temple and talk to each other if it's not important. Okay, I have to learn, it's not so simple. Okay, Sukkot, everybody knows, it's a continuation of the high priest Aaron HaKohen going into the Holy of Holiest. And you know, our days, it wouldn't be more beautiful if the Sukkah is really mamish stationary, just to show that I am mamish a Jew forever. Would be beautiful, right? Why is it temporary? Okay, this is so deep. You know that most of us lost our choice. We are so accustomed and to our mistakes. We're so accustomed. Hey brother, how you doing, brother? We are so accustomed in doing. I'm accustomed whenever someone steps on my toes, I blow up. I'm accustomed when dinner is not served 6, I get angry at my wife. If my children talk during the meal, I yell at them. I'm accustomed. Forget it. Can't help it. I'm accustomed being an idiot. So the Ishbitzer says, stationary means that you can't move. The problem is that we can't even move. We want to, but we can't. We're so addicted to it. And it gets so deep into us, we can't even move anymore. And here, I want you to know the Gemara says something very deep. Anything you cannot move is paganism. God is so deep. What is a pagan god? Nothing wrong with a pagan god. The only thing is the god can't move, right? What is the deepest depths of our belief? You know what praying means? This is the deepest depths. That even if God forbid, decided this person is sick, I can move God. I can move God. Humanly speaking. I mean, it's not, I'm just using words, it's not as simple as it sounds, right? I can move God, right? What are we praying for the Messiah to come? I say, listen, God knows when the Messiah is coming. It means with my prayers, I can move God. It's awesome, right? If you remember, Aaron HaKohen, the Holy Temple, is the essence of prayer. What's the deepest depths of prayer? The deepest depths of prayer is, you know, it's very simple, you know. When you watch people, those who are so paganized in their own life, they don't know how to pray. And then the people, Emerson Yidden, right, who can move any time. I'll tell you something else. I can be religious on a pagan level. I keep Shabbos, I keep Yom Tov, I put on film, have a Yamke. What's all those people who can't move because they're already accustomed to religion? They can't stand somebody who does it a little bit different. Because you're in my way, right? But a person is, I have choice every second. And I told some of you, you know, like, have you ever seen those big Rosh Yeshivas, those great rabbis? They are mamish addicted to their honor, you know. When they walk in, you have to get up. Or when you talk to them, you have to talk to them like, not direct, would they, maybe, you know. So, you know, the Gemara says that a person has Torah, he has to be careful with his honor, you know. You can't make yourself a fool. Someone told me, two people were walking on the east side. The Rosh Hashiva, and the Reb Moshe Feinstein. The Moshe Feinstein was like a mamish, the greatest in the world. The Rosh Hashiva was okay. And there was a black woman carrying something, and she couldn't make it really. It was heartbreaking. So, Reb Moshe says, let's go and help her. So Shiva says, Kovot Torah. You know, it's not in honor of the Torah. So Reb Moshe went by himself and helped her, right? You know what that means? Sure, you have to know exactly when to move and not to move, right? You know, like, when she was a cousin who walks on the street, he has to have a black hat and black tie and he walks straight. Can't you move sometimes? Now is not the time to look for your honor. Here's someone who needs your help, right? And I'm just took it as a stupid example. So Rab Nachman says, the Ishbitz says, what is Sukkot? Sukkot is Aaron HaKohen, and I tell you something, you know, imagine, God forbid, what is the most terrible sickness in the world, God forbid? If a person is paralyzed, right? What is one of the most heartbreaking things in the world, right? Hashem's getting better. If God forbid somebody has polio, right? Like, give out. It never happened to anybody. You mamash need a good doctor, inside doctor. Right? It says, we are so Yom Kippur, what good is that God forgave me? But I can't help it. I can't move. So what Aaron HaKohen did in the Holy of Holies, he became temporary again. And temporary is a very bad translation. I can't move, right? I'm completely free again. Wow. I'm not addicted to anything anymore. But it has to be real deep, right? Say holy is deep, but Holy of Holies, that it reaches, in order to get you out of you being paralyzed spiritually, it has to be the deepest. Mama's the deepest. Awesome time. So you friends, it means Sukkot in the deepest way is reaching him is the deepest, right? What's the Beis HaMikdash all about? You know, I can do tshuva all year long, but what can I do? I have an excuse to God and say, listen, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. And it's a good excuse. It really is. But what you need is a Holy of Holies. You need Aaron HaKohen. Okay, what is this the deepest? When you open your heart. What did Avraham Avinu give us over? You know what most people think? The greatest thing I'm giving over to my children, they should do the same thing. And basically, I really want my children to be the same thing. I want my children to be Jewish, I want my children to be this. But I don't want my children to be chas v'sholom, stationary Jews who can't move, right? And you see what the deepest depth, the deepest secret of life is to be completely mamash. I'm holding on to it, but I'm not frozen. What's Avraham Avinu all about? What was the first sign that Avraham Avinu entered the covenant with God? God is talking to him, right? Suddenly he sees three pagans who look hungry. So he says to God, I'm sorry, God, I know you want to talk to me. I got to take care of those three pagans. Take us, right? Imagine I would have the deepest God revelation. Sitting here. Wow. Should be videoed, right? And then God is speaking to me, right? And let's say, not fake, but I really would know God is talking to me, right? Say, listen, brother, especially a pagan and everything, you know, and it's hard, who cares, you know? Can you switch so fast? Can you suddenly tell God, I'm sorry God, I have to take care of those 3 people? Because you have time, they're not. Unbelievable flexibility, right? On one hand, I hate Sodom, right? They're the lowest. When you hear God wants to destroy them, I switch. I'm praying for them. It's awesome. I want you to know something awesome which is not to be believed. Do you know the Egyptians drowned in the Red Sea? Do you know who didn't drown? Pharaoh. Because Moshe gave him his hand and got him out. Because he was good to Moshe when he was a baby. I mean, can you imagine the switch? Pharaoh, the lowest creep in the world. But at that moment, he was good to me. I have to be thankful to him. This awesome, not being frozen. You know how deep this is? To know every split second, what am I supposed to do now? Because this is the Holy of Holiest. Holy means I always know what to do. The Holy of Holiest is I can, at this moment I can switch, right? Not being paralyzed. So you know, in the Sukkah we're inviting all our mothers and fathers. Because most people, why do so many people rebel against their parents, right? Because what my parents gave me was frozen. A frozen God, frozen goodness, frozen Yiddishkeit. I don't want to be frozen, right? Parents have something to freeze you. But after Aaron comes back from the Holy of Holiest, only then can I take the heritage from Avraham, because Avraham Avinu is mamish, completely open. Right? You have to know when to be good, not to be so good. Yitzchak is strength, you have to know when to be strong. Yaakov Avinu is beauty. Beauty is when you know exactly when and how. Right? So in the Sukkah we invite our holy mothers and holy fathers, because suddenly you realize you know what it is? I tell you, the hardest thing for young people, it's better, but let's say 10 years ago, the hardest thing for young people, Jewish young people, was in Germany. Because on one hand, the Germans killed 6 million Jews, right? On the other hand, they go to school, and then they see some German kids are mamish wonderful kids, right? So how do you handle it? They don't know how to handle it. Why? Because their parents, you know, I'll tell you something awesome, without saying anything too bad. It's a long story. I met this whole group, a church group came to my concert. And then they met me again at night. And there I see a Jewish girl is there with them. Her name is Esther. And then someone spoke to her prior. I said, listen, Esther, understand you. You're coming to Israel, you know what else to come to with a church group? You know, it's going to the Eskimos with a French group. I mean, well, what's going on there? So she says, I'll tell you the truth. My parents are survivors. Never heartbreaking. I'm not judging. My parents told me the essence of Yiddishkeit is to hate Goyim. Never. They don't keep Shabbos, they don't keep Yom Kippur, they keep nothing. And they told her the essence of Yiddishkeit is to hate Goyim. So she says, I didn't know any better, right? They never sent me to a synagogue. They forbid me to have. So I really thought that's what it is. So one day I passed by the church, and the first time I heard that there's religion has to do with love is in church. I came. Never. It's a long story with her. I don't know if you remember that she came a lot of times Friday night after that. Then Saturday night she moved back to San Francisco after they grew up again. She's the first time I heard by Jewish people the word love is when I came to your concert tonight as much Shabbos. You know what that means? in Germany, those kids, the parents don't tell them about Yiddishkeit, most of them, right? Most of them keep anything. The only thing they keep is hating the Goyim, right? But it doesn't go this way either, right? You know, when we went to Poland, right, all the people were against us. Stationary. You know, they killed 6 million Jews, forget it. What are you frozen? You have to know when and how and with whom. So you hear, friends, the deepest depths, you know what Avraham Avinu left me? Not a frozen goodness. Avraham Avinu left me, mamash, because the deepest goodness, if I know when. You have to know when. Yitzchak left me strength. You have to know when. Strength doesn't mean I have a little assertiveness training and each time someone steps on my toe, I blow up, right? That's what it is. Don't let anybody. You know what Rab Nachman says? What we say in the prayers, let me be like the earth. You know what's so special about the earth? Everybody is stepping on the earth and the earth never blows up. It's anti-assertiveness. But Gewalt, you know how much is growing in the earth? Because they let it. You know what it is? If I'm a small creep, someone steps on me, I blow up. Why doesn't the earth blow up? The earth doesn't blow up because you're not taking anything away from me when you step on me. So if I walk on the earth and make it non-earth, it's good. The earth wants to be stepped on, so you make a way. How are all the ways in the world? Because people were walking on it, right? It's unbelievable. Okay, so remember, this is the deepest depths. And I'll tell you something else, which is so deep, just remember this, blessing everyone with children, all the parents. The deepest heritage we have that we're giving over to our children, you have to serve God every second to know what God wants of you. There is no, someone told me, who told it to me? Someone told me, but I gave a talk to someone, Cisco, a long time ago. So he told me that he remembers I said, the only principles which you have, the only principle you have is that there are no principles. That there are no principles. I don't know, Ask me, right? Okay, one more very, very important thing, I wish we would have more. No, we still have time a little bit. Sukkot is a holiday of Aaron HaKohen. Because from the Holy of Holiest. And everybody knows this is really, I'm begging you friends, the second night of Sukkot is the greatest night of the year. Similar Pesa Sheva. In the Holy Temple, the young priests would go down to Meir Shloach, to the mikveh of the Kohen Gadol, and there they would draw water, and the next morning this water would be poured over the altar. All year long you only pour wine over the altar, and this few days of Sukkot, water. And the joy was awesome. And the Gemara says, whoever has not seen the joy of drawing the water has never seen joy. And here, and again, Naomi, tell me, did we learn this last year or we didn't? Or we did? So why don't you tell me a little bit before I say everything wrong? Let me take a valve. You what? Okay, I begin, and when I say it wrong, you stop me. Well, you never know. You see, every year we are in a different space. I don't know what I said last year. Chaim. I think we're learning it. First of all, the Israelite asks, whenever there is a Yom Tov, you're supposed to have a feast. But similar to Sheva, the drawing of the water was all night, and there's no mention of a feast. The only thing that the Gemara says that nobody slept. And the Gemara says that we were sleeping on each other's shoulder. And also something awesome. Every Yontif, all the Jews are singing and dancing. Same with the She'eva, only the Tzaddikim. Only the holy people would dance. It's crazy. And all of Israel would stand and clap hands. And it was the greatest joy in the world. In a nutshell. In a nutshell, that the beginning of the end of the world is, I'm only happy when something good is happening to me. I'm not happy when something good happens to somebody else. Imagine Yitzhak will call me up, hopefully soon, tell me, can you believe it? I bought a number and I won $2 million. Right? Go out, right? So I will say, I'm so happy, right? What will I think inside? God, you have nobody else to give $2 million to Yitzhak? I am first, right? How long is Yitzhak begging you for $2 million a few years? I'm begging you much longer. And God, you know what I would do with $2 million? So he's going to do. Someone will tell me, Tzvi, Gewalt, $100 million. I say, yeah, good, Tzvi, okay, you know, still. I'm still first, right? God, you made a mistake. I'm not going to tell Tzvi, I'll smile and say, hey, I'm so happy, right? I mean, take the world. Most people, since their Baruch Hashem got engaged, I was first. Why didn't she marry me, right? All the stuff, right? You know what the lowest, what the highest is? If a person can reach the level, mamish, to be happy when something happens to another person. Not to be believed. Huh? No, that's something else. If I'm happy with what I have, this is a high level. We are talking about being happy when something happens to another person, not to me.
Maybe that's what she means, chelko. Chelko. Maybe she's interpreting it chelko.
Oh, you mean b'chelko, somebody else's? Pretty good. I appoint you chief rabbi of the world.
Repeat it, please.
There was. It's huge.
His portion.
No, b'chelko is to live with his portion means the person. But she says maybe it meant really with somebody else's portion.
Everybody else's happiness makes you rich.
It's a good time. But the thing is, when do we do it, right? So the night for this is the second night of Sukkot. And this is what it is. Mamash, thank you so much. You know what it is? And I have to make it very fast. Imagine we'll hear a voice from heaven. Only the holy people should get up to dance. So who would get up to dance? Nobody. As much as I think I'm holy and I really should get up. But it doesn't look nice. I'm waiting for another invitation. You know, but the Rebbe Melech, that's what I'm sure you remember Naomi. Rebbe Melech, when his daughter got married, he announced anybody who ever sinned should not dare to get up to dance. Wait. So the Heilig Reb David Lakis, one of the last pupils of the Holy Baal Shem Tov, still alive, got up, started dancing like crazy. And you know what he said? So you don't want anybody to dance? There has to be dancing, right? So anybody get up. Everybody got up. God bless you. See, the real holy person is not concerned if he is dancing or somebody else. There has to be dancing. It's Sukkot night, right? So the half-holy people don't get up to dance. They announce, Only tzaddikim should dance, right? Now the real tzaddikim says, you don't want anybody to dance? Who cares? I'm getting up to dance, right? But you know what the greatest miracle is? That all of Israel is clapping. And they're so happy that there are still holy people in the world. Now listen to this. Why do we have to sleep? Why do we have to eat? You know, if we would have eaten the tree of life, maybe we would eat only on Shabbos. Circus says if you would have eaten the tree of life, we would have not have to eat 3 times. Why do we eat 3 times or 4 times? Because there's death in the world. In the moment I stop eating, I'm already on the way out. Because if I keep on not eating, you can die from hunger, right? If you would live forever, I'd eat Shabbos. I eat once a year, right? Who cares? So that night, there was so much life in the air. You know, sleeping is 1/60th of death, right? That night was so much life in the air. We didn't have to eat, and we didn't have to sleep. And you see, I want you to know, Eliyahu Hanovi, Elijah the prophet, is in the neshama of Nodav and Avihu, right? Nodav and Avihu, without getting involved in the depths, are the first ones who walked into the Holy of Holies. That Aaron HaKohen. What's the Holy of Holies? You know what death is? Frozen. The more you're alive, the more you can move, right? What's the sign of a living person? It can move, right? So Eliyahu Novi is the one who is utmost moving, right? He's moving between heaven and earth, moving from one generation to the other. When the high priest would walk into the Holy of Holies, he would say, Honor Hashem, Honor Hashem, Honor. So the Abte says, Honor, Roshstev is Eliyahu, Nodav and Avihu. It's gewaltig, right? Not so simple. Okay, so here it says, why is the joy with water? That's, I'm sure no one remembers. Okay, let's hear it.
I was going to say, you talked a lot about water and its cleansing and the process of which we make wine.
So what's the difference between wine and water? Wine, you have to work hard to make it wine. The more you touch it, the more you work on it, the better the wine is. Water is only good when it's fresh. So all year long I'm thinking I have to become wine, work hard, and change from a grape to I don't know what, and then change again, and maybe then I'll be okay. Water is